taking the very things that are challenging you and learning to actively challenge yourself. That's the key to what we call resilience, or being anti-fragile, the topic of today's episode. I'm Sharif Yunus with Dr. Kevin Majors. This is The Golden Hour.
We have had a lot of responses to people saying that they have been using OptimalWork more than ever and finding that the tools are really helping them to stay on track. And just given the feedback we were having, we thought it'd be nice to bring back these OptimalWork live sessions.
Yeah.
And so a number of people emailed us and gave us some questions to be asking. So, well, should we dive in, Sharif, or should we?
Yeah, I mean, I think given these times, like our approach is extremely helpful and very applicable to the difficulties that a lot of people are dealing with now, working from home, having to build structure into their own schedule. So I thought maybe we just start by discussing some of those ideas of how, given the kind of unique difficulties people are having right now, how does OptimalWork's approach fit into that? And I think, one is just our general, like, fundamental, essential idea, which is that challenges are always a good thing and that they can always bring out the best in us. So,
but can there be too much challenge?
Exactly. I think some people might be feeling that right now.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's if there's people sometimes get overwhelmed.
Mm-hmm.
And they think that there's just too many challenges to be facing, or the challenges are too big. Mm-hmm. And we've always said that you know that you've reframed something because you can say, the more the better, bring it on.
Mm-hmm.
So can that still be said in these days? The more the better, bring it on.
Yeah,
I think so. This is especially the time that proves it.
Okay.
That challenges are there in a sense to bring out the best in us. They give us exactly the workout that we need. And so what would you say, Sharif, are the biggest challenges our users are facing right now?
So, I think one is maybe like fear about, okay, am I going to get coronavirus? Is a loved one going to get the coronavirus? Yeah. One is professional challenges. Now, I think students in particular are feeling like, okay, now I have more free time. What do I do with the free time? Some people are feeling that. Some people have still the same amount of things to do, but now with just less structure in their day. So how do you kind of those academic or professional challenges with work? And then last probably is that now that you're enclosed for 24 hours a day with a small group of people, how do we kind of stay sane, maybe?
Exactly. The challenges of family life. A lot of people, if you live with others, this is a especially challenging time. And that's great. That goes through some of the areas that we need to focus on. Going back to this idea that what you know that you've reframed, because you can say, bring it on, the more the better. What we're talking about there is how you experience challenge. That are the challenges coming from outside? That there's all these things out there that are super hard, and there's all this uncertainty, which is probably the biggest challenge right now is the uncertainty. If the challenges are coming from outside, you're always going to be tempted to feel overwhelmed by them.
Right.
The only solution is that you have to change where the challenges are coming from. So that instead of coming from outside of you, the real challenge is coming from within you. I think we experience that when we challenge ourselves. So, and we said, that the more we can have a challenge, that challenge can give us a little victory in one moment. And just looking in each hour of work, what's the little victory that I could have here? Or like in my family interactions, what is the little victory I'm going for? And then to have that sense that strength has nothing to do with simply how big are the external challenges that you address. I think strength has everything to do with how consistently do you keep that attitude of challenge within yourself.
Hmm.
I think also there's this idea that we've talked about in the past of what it means to be anti-fragile.
Okay.
And that means that like when things get very hard and you're in a time of greater stress,
Hmm.
do you double down on best practices
Yeah.
or do you let them slip?
Right.
I think the more people and we've seen, I know that because I'm still maintaining, my practice and I'm still mentoring people, and it's wonderful to see how this has actually brought out like a lot of the people I've worked with have really doubled down on all the best practices. So like
Hmm.
when times are hard, is it more or less important to jump out of bed the moment your alarm first sounds? It's much more important,
Yeah.
that and that you start your workday at a certain time and that you build a schedule into your day and that you have clear sprints and clear breaks with a real distinction between those two things.
Hmm.
So I think that this idea, like all the best practices we talk about, now is exactly when you can see how powerful they are.
Right. Yeah. Can we talk a little bit about breaks? Because this is one difficulty that I've been feeling is now with working from home and everything, there's just a little bit more to do, it feels like, and a little bit
Hmm.
less time. And so
Yeah.
for me, breaks are the first thing that suffer.
Hmm.
Uh, where immediately finish a golden hour. So I mean, it just generally we recommend working in an intense golden hour followed by a break and repeating
Yeah.
that throughout the day.
Yeah. Yeah.
But then when the time for the break comes, I'm like, I don't have enough time today.
Hmm.
I need to
Yeah.
get something else done. So how do I tell me why I'm wrong? What is the real
Hmm.
benefit of a break? And then B, how do I in that moment take the break
Yeah.
and detach myself from the work?
So I think it's a great question, and it's going to depend, I think, on what you're working on and
Hmm.
what and where you are. In general, the key to the break is the stop time.
Hmm.
That you actually stop your work at a very set time, because that's what gives you intensity going up to the break, up to as you're finishing the golden hour,
Yeah.
knowing that you're going to stop at a certain time. It's enough for a break that you simply switch what you're doing. So, and that you work on something else. It could be cleaning the toilets, but so it could be some other kind of work that wouldn't, uh, it's the ideal thing is to and it would be like going for a walk or going outside, and that may not be as possible for a lot of people right
Hmm.
now. And so you're talking about taking breaks in your house. We can talk about any change in pace is good.
Yeah.
Anything that I think helps you connect to your highest ideals
Okay.
through reading or prayer or meditating or some kind of practice that you could actually incorporate into your breaks and to have those
Hmm.
scheduled too. I think that actually um, is really restorative.
Yeah.
That you even if it's just a minute of reading something,
Hmm.
before you work on the housework for 15 minutes or so.
Right.
But you can break things up. I think you can also the we could talk about the bad ways of taking breaks. And I
Hmm.
think that one bad way is reading the news.
Okay.
That probably the last thing that people need right now is the charge that comes from reading the news.
Yeah.
That it's good to keep up with the news, but how much of the news can you use? Probably very little of it. And it's not going to really change what you're doing. And so we probably don't need to be following it so closely, actually. And so
Hmm.
maybe if there's any change that would make people more anti-fragile, it's actually decreasing how much they're like following the news and these events.
Yeah.
Have a few trusted sources, go to them only for a short period of time before a meal,
Yeah.
but not like in between golden hours or sprints. I think you want to really separate that out.
Yeah. So let's talk more about that. So we actually got a question here. I'll just put it up, um, which is how should we maintain a distinction between work and family life?
Hmm.
For example, they give two examples: thinking about work during family time, or
Hmm.
getting distracted with family when I should be working.
Yeah.
So that's kind of the question. Let me just broaden that out a little bit to be like, how do we protect our times of work as well? So just so yeah, how do we think about that? Because now we're working from home, right? Which
Yeah.
is
Yeah.
very different. So there's all these
Yeah.
people around. Or,
There's all these people around and so we always had talked about setting a perimeter. So you have some kind of boundaries around what you're doing, and in a perfect world, you would have a perfect perimeter, that was impermeable, that nothing could get through it at all. I think that that's probably not possible for a lot of people. The key
okay.
of the perimeter, though, is the commitment you're making to just work on this one thing at a time, and your ability to make that commitment and to really hold yourself to that kind of discipline that for your part for the next 45 minutes, next hour, that you're going to just try to really work intensely on this one thing. That commitment doesn't have to be weakened by interruptions. It can be strengthened by interruptions, but making the commitment to just unitask, do this one thing, is that's the essence of setting a perimeter, and it always works.
Yeah.
And even if you're in a very loud environment, that commitment actually, your ability to make that commitment can get stronger and stronger through practice. I also think that part of that commitment can be kept by having either more steps in the task that you're working on, so it's really clear what the steps are. That maybe if it's hard to keep these things separate, it's because when doing projects or doing golden hours, we always want people to have steps that they proceed through one at a time.
Right.
And those steps would be 10 to 15 minutes long typically. Well, they could be shorter if you need help with traction and keeping traction. But and then to make the steps much more definite, that ideally each step is like a little victory, so that you're able to go one at a time through those. The important thing is sequential unitasking.
Yeah.
That you move through your task one thing at a time, working your way through. But if you get interrupted by a family member, don't divide your attention. Give them your whole attention until it's done. And then put your whole attention back right into the step where you left off.
Yeah. Is it okay to say, I'm working, leave me alone?
Generally speaking, uh, I, it probably depends on the kind of work people have to do. So if I'm a psychiatrist seeing patients in my home office, well then, yeah, I have a do not disturb sign that I put outside the door. And so, but if it's a kind of task, that could be interrupted, you probably want to help if you have children, especially them to know that these are protected times for mom or dad. That these are times when they're going to. But I think we have to be flexible. The getting irritated by interruptions is often, I think, a sign of hyperfocus. So it's not that we didn't really have flow in what we were doing. We had hyperfocus. Flow is flexible, and you can. The key is you just have to not divide your attention between two things, which destroys flow. But just give it entirely to the interruption, and then give it entirely back.
Yeah, so unitasking is another one of those kind of best practices that you want to double down on in times of stress, right?
Yep. And it just means that you are totally committed to doing this one step right now.
Yeah.
And so sometimes, when you're at home, having shorter golden hours is better, and shorter breaks, and you check in with the people around you, you take care of things. So I think that, but here the best practice is committing to doing this task and then to doing just one task and doing it in order.
Right. Okay, awesome. So we have a bunch more questions. You want to keep going through questions?
Sure, yeah.
Okay. Next question is, how do I choose what to do to stay productive given that I have few serious responsibilities? Okay.
So this would be maybe the case of someone where their job just doesn't transfer to working from home too well, and so their responsibilities don't transfer with them. Or maybe, I don't know. What do you think? Do you think?
I think also some students, perhaps,
and then students. Yeah. Yeah.
less workload or classes just got a lot easier or something like that. So
Yeah,
maybe
it's
they're
interesting.
looking for things.
A lot of the students that I work with, the intensity is totally still there.
Yeah, yeah.
But I think there can be yeah. So it depends probably on, the college or the high school or whatever
Hmm.
that they're working in. Um, the This gets also into thinking of mastery.
Hmm.
Okay, and what really is the essence of mastery? That if you're working as a student, let's say, well, there are some you're basically building up knowledge and skills that will allow you to do some kind of work um, that will truly serve people in the future. And so you want to think of what are the skills that I could be acquiring
Hmm.
during this time, or the knowledge I could be acquiring.
Hmm.
And there could never be a limit to the knowledge or the skills that you could be working on.
Right, right.
So if you were to think of like what now, even if you're, and I have some people I've been working with who are working from home, and they just find that without the commute and with less responsibilities in the office, they just have a lot more time.
Hmm.
Then I'm encouraging them really think of what are the precise skills that you need in order to attain like the next level in your profession. Like
Hmm.
what does it look like to advance, and then how do you do that? Now is a perfect time to be learning those new skills.
Right.
So you can imagine. So Sharif, for you, for like programming, are there
Yeah.
like next level skills you could be thinking of?
Yeah, I need to learn how to program mobile apps.
Uh huh.
Yeah.
Perfect. Then I know that you're
Or
actually
should,
keeping extremely busy.
I want
Yeah,
to.
but
Yeah, I want to. I don't
yeah,
need to. I want to. Yeah.
exactly. Yeah. So if you then we're thinking, okay, that OptimalWork needs a mobile app. Okay, and
Yeah.
how am I ever going to find time to, well, now there's suddenly all this time.
Yeah.
Now I know what you've been doing. Sharif and I have been working on an ebook that hopefully will come out soon.
Yeah.
So it takes up actually a lot of our attention. But that's exactly the thing to be like, what are the next sets of skills that you
Hmm.
need? The
Hmm.
skill could be a language. The skill could be like taking a writing course to improve how you write. It could be getting the Peter Kump book, Breakthrough Rapid Reading, and learning how to improve your reading speed.
Yeah.
So, but there are always new like buckets of skills that you could be accessing.
Yeah.
So,
Should
to me, it's like this is
should
a golden opportunity.
Yeah. How can we think about like the uncertainty? So if, is this a thing that's going to last for 6 weeks or 2 years, or, and does that change my priorities? Because you can kind of get into a
Yeah,
mentality of, well, this is only going to last for a certain amount of time, so I'll just kind of
yeah.
keep doing my thing and wait it
I think
out.
that uncertainty is a sign that the person is passively viewing challenges.
Okay.
If you're concerned about uncertainty, it's because you're trying to forecast challenge. You're trying
Uh-huh.
to see what's out there and what's coming, as if you
Yeah.
have like a limited ability to handle challenge.
Yeah.
So already the focus on trying to get rid of uncertainty is a kind of fragile practice.
Yeah.
The anti-fragile practice is bringing the challenge within yourself and then finding ways of actually growing right now.
Hmm.
And so the extra time you have, okay, the challenge there is how to make good use of it and to use it to actually build skills and knowledge. There is so much for every profession that you could learn more about. And
Yeah.
now is the time for a deeper, more structured dive into how you do that kind of learning.
Hmm. So you're saying dive in, do it.
Dive in, yeah. And if you aren't sure how to do that, reach out to us.
Yeah.
So, let us know, and then we can see, are there things that we could be doing on Optimal Work to help people think like in terms of what are the next level, things that I need to be working on and acquiring. Usually
Specific
we
to
think of
my.
next level specific. Usually we think of the next level in terms of ideals, and we always want people challenging themselves according to higher ideals. But there is also deeper knowledge, and also you could say deeper skills
Yeah.
that people could be developing. Just think of the
Mhm.
people that you could be talking to right now. There are certainly people in your profession that who have those higher level skills that you could be talking to right now. So now is a great time to reach out to people, and to say, hey, could I talk for 10 minutes about how to improve in this?
Mm-hmm.
But most people would be totally willing to help others, I think, like that.
Yeah.
So just to identify role models, to identify people that you would like to be kind of patterning yourself after, and to think, okay, how are they doing things, and how could I learn directly from them?
Right. Awesome.
We have a lot more questions left, but maybe for next time.
For next time, okay. Well, thanks so much for tuning in to our live. We'll do this at 10 a.m. on the dot next week, right?
Yeah, I think we figured out the gremlin this time.
Okay. So yeah, feel free to email us with any questions. We'll send out another email later this week to ask for more questions. But yeah, thanks so much.
Great.
Well, thanks so much for listening. I hope you enjoyed the episode. Don't forget to check out OptimalWork.com for a set of online tools to help you engage challenge in your life. See you next week.